A very good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in BTM TV, and thank you so much for joining us. It is time for the dialogue with me, Idrissa Muwonge Lubega. It is the 24th day of June, 2023. It's still there. Very soon shall be crossing to July, and before you know it, the year will be coming to an end. I hope you're doing good. Thank you for always, being out there waiting for us as we come here, sit and deliberate on matters of national importance. I keep saying, every time I get an opportunity to look into this camera, I say that everyone does have a responsibility to play, especially in keeping this country intact. Everybody does have a responsibility. As we sit here, we are doing ours. Are you doing yours? I hope you are. Now, the country is still grieving, the death of the students who were killed by the ADF. That was last week on Friday night. The death toll now stands at 43. Where 37 out of these are students, and 17 of these students are actually not yet buried because they are burnt beyond recognition. Now the police forensic department are trying to do DNA tests to match them with their parents so that they can be given, a burial. The government moved in and gave 5 million shillings package to help, the families of the deceased with these burials. But unfortunately, these 17 have not yet been recognized. Now, 6 of the 43 were actually community members. Now, the preliminary reports we got, they say that the ADF rebels had actually spent 2 days in Kasese. But then Deo Akiki, who happens to be the second, the deputy UPDF spokesperson, he refuted this report and said, no, actually, the rebels, they attacked the school in a raid. It took them just 25 minutes. So this was not an attack that they planned for days in Kasese, but rather they came, spent a short time, did what they did, and then went back. And that's why they were so they were hard to follow up, to track. Now, away from that, after recovering from COVID-19, President Museveni has now ordered the State House staff, put them on a 14-day quarantine. Whoever's working State House won't be accessing State House, before a 14-day lockdown on them or quarantine has elapsed. Politically speaking, in Oyam, they are trying to look for the successor of the former minister, Mr. Ngola, who was shot dead by the bodyguard. So the contestants for that positions have already been nominated by the Electoral Commission, and 2 weeks from now, they are going to be having a member of parliament, that is the people of Oyam. Now, among the contestants is Ngola Jr., who was actually nominated by the NRM. Politics of succession. Good morning once again. Idrissa Muwonge is my name. My panelists are already here. I do have Mr. Kasirye Sendagire Muhammad, man who is also, having plans, nurturing plans or nursing plans of leading Kampala as its Lord Mayor. Good to have you, sir.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here today. Allow me in just a minute to say hello to our people of Kampala, to our people of Uganda. I'm glad that I'm here and change is coming. Thank you.
Change is coming.
Yes.
So far, how far with your, dream? How are you pushing? How's your dream progressing? What are people telling you in a second?
Yes, for the fact that we haven't reached the point of elections, there are many people around Kampala that actually have been yearning me to meet them in different capacities, empowering them, advising them. In the 5 divisions, at least the 3, that is Kampala Central, Machindi, and that is Kampala Central, Machindi, and Kawempe. These divisions are looked at differently besides the 2, the Lubaga and Nakawa. But Kasirye Sendagire have been moving in these divisions, and yes, our network, it's growing. And yes, people who believe in us, we are still more structuralizing.
Haven't you met those who belittle you?
Of course, they are there, and they do it, I don't know, with bad intentions, of course, not intentions of seeing change, but with bad intentions. Others look at me as someone who is incapable too. But I want to say that this is the right time. People of my type, in the genesis, in history, they've always been the centers of change. When you look at President Museveni, at the time when he came to power, he was almost at my age. When you look at all nice leaders that have been, that have done wonders, they came during my age, my time.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Otim Levi Akonapesa doesn't need much introduction, has been on this show several times. As a matter of fact, he's one of the co-founders. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you very much, my brother Idrissa.
How have you been?
I've been well, and good morning to the viewers. I've been fine. Of course, when you get into the streets of Kampala, into the corridors of power and so on, you always are bound to get extremely, busy, bumpy.
Yes.
But we're there.
Speaking of Kampala, when you look at it, do you think it needs new leadership? That is in terms of a Lord Mayor.
I've always believed that in giving room to democracy, and of course having a blend of new leaders. We always expect that they come with new initiatives, new ideas that rather will propel any city or any position for us to post development. So rotational leadership, of course, is room to having steady growth, and then avoiding any conflicts that rather just another way of avoiding conflicts or crises that would rather tear down an economy or a nation or anything that you are advocating or standing for. So I support the idea that there should be rotational leadership, and it's room for people to grow. You nurture new leaders that should take on from the old ones, and of course it is a part of the daily life.
Okay.
Yes.
Gentlemen, let us get into politics, and I want us to get your insight. I want to get your insight on this so-called politics of succession. Here, Mr. Angola, NRM is planning to have his son, succeed him. Some people have been rubbed the wrong way. They feel this is unfair. It has always happened. We've always talked about it. Why is it that it happens in some areas it doesn't? In eastern Uganda, was it, which district was that? Where the former member of parliament actually died in a car accident?
Serere County.
Serere County.
Yes.
The son was denied a ticket by the NRM. Now in Oyam, here they grant it to Mr. Angola Jr., that is. Why? You who subscribes to the NRM, Mr. Tim, isn't this kind of unfairness, and will it not lead to divisions within the party?
Thank you very much. You see, issues of secession, or rather having politics that is affiliated to family lines, is something that has, not been of recent, but it's been even in the previous governments. We have seen the son of the late, they call him the founder of Ugandan nation, or rather independence. That's Milton Obote.
Father of the nation.
Akena, father of the nation. So we have seen Jimmy Akena, come, and then he has become a very formidable factor in the politics of Lango. And of course, when you have to look at the current state, Oyam County, rather having the young man, that's Angola Jr., who has been initially in the UPC fraternity, come and then is absorbed by NRM. We are very happy because you see, as NRM government, we always open, there's always an open door for new entrants, people who come, and then you see you add value to the party. That is how we count, and then as politics you count numbers. But then you see, you need to compare the two. In Serere County, there was a dialogue. Partly we were also involved in the dialogue because some of us were fully involved in the campaigns and then the politics of the by-election.
Dialogue was between
there was a dialogue between there was a dialogue between Honorable Moding and then the NRM flag bearer, that's Owucho. And then when the NRM senior leadership, that is the one that represents us in SEC, Teso sub-region, came in and tried to dialogue with the NRM flag bearer, that you see, it has reached a point where we feel it might not be, you might not be able to sustain the pressure that is there, because you see the late Member of Parliament, Honorable Kabi, really did proper groundwork. He built a solid foundation that could not easily be cracked. So
your son came and capitalized on that.
for the son to come, it was already
He capitalized on
it was already
legacy.
yes, but also alongside capitalizing on the father's leadership, there was also that vote of sympathy that the father has died, he's still serving us, and then who has been coordinating with him, the son has literally been at the front line trying to connect him with the donors.
Does that
And
mean
then
that
the
Angola's son
So-
stands a high chance of winning this?
Angola's son, if he's been mentored by the late or the former, of course he will have an upper hand. If the people of Oyam accept him, then it will be an easy sail through. So NRM having a person that they can all front and not being divided. You see, in Serere it was divided. We are all NRM, but then you see the NRM had to support the flag bearer. That is the mandate. But then you see within the NRM, we, the ones that subscribe the cadres, we had to fall together with the son of the late, because we have personal ties with him. We had personal ties with the father. Because the father
But the party, had decided otherwise.
Yeah, the party had
And you
decided.
defied the position of the party.
No, the party had defied, but I want you to look at it keenly. We had the senior leadership not even involved in the campaigns in Serere, in Serere by-election. It's otherwise with what is happening in Oyam. Oyam, you're seeing all the leadership together with the Secretary General, they are all involved, trying to rally support for the son of the late. Here it was the vice versa. So when we tried to harmonize the situation, some of us were looked at as possibly people that are defying the party. But that was not the thing. We were the ones that aided the late in trying to eradicate the opposition from Serere district. And we succeeded. He built a proper ground and a proper foundation in trying to streamline and break all, existing opposition.
That by-election I
Change
talk about,
and-
Mr. Otim,
Yes.
I left some clashes between NRM officials in the region,
Yes.
including the chairman of the vice chairman of
Yes.
Eastern Region, NRM that is, Mr. Mike Mukula, and also the vice president was involved.
Yes.
I also had the name of the speaker.
You see-
so it was not an easy one.
It was not an easy one, but then you can see that in Teso sub-region already we have had 3 by-elections. We have had the LOC 5, that's Bukedia. Then we had the one of Soroti City, that is the West Division, where we had, I think, West or East Division, where we had Honorable Ariko
Yes.
defeat the FDC man. You see how they all rallied, with all the differences they had, but they rallied behind who? The NRM candidate. In Serere, it was a different situation. That's what I'm trying to communicate. There was a rift between the groupings
Have
of
these
NRM.
leaders who exchanged, have they patched up things now?
Yeah, they are patched up. We saw you saw the honorable Moding sign a memorandum
That
of
I saw, but I mean
understanding
the
with the NRM.
now
Now,
the
of
NRM
course,
officials.
that leaves
the
leaves
chairman and was it the vice president? What?
yeah, the chairman, the vice president, and then I think the speaker. But of course, they are all working together.
Okay.
Even in the by-election of, I think, Bukedia, they were all together. So that shows you the level of maturity that is involved in the politics. Even if there are differences, they always put aside and then handle. Of course, with politics, you can't wipe out everything completely. There's always that room for disagreements. Of course, you leave it open.
Oh yeah.
So
Are
that-
you looking forward to winning this?
Oyam have already seen the signs of NRM sailing through. Of course, you not want to have a division, but now since they are all rallying behind one candidate, it is an advantage for NRM as a party.
Out of curiosity, somebody might be wondering because in the recent by-elections,
Yes.
NRM doesn't seem to have lost any. Previously, that wasn't the case. The opposition used to swap these, to win, to scope these by-elections. But that has changed. Someone might be wondering, what is it that you fixed, you as in NRM, that was causing you lose these by-elections?
There was restructuring. I remember there was a restructuring of NRM system, and we saw people that the changes that came about. Of course, the president was not very happy with the way the performances in the previous. So he tried, the SEC meetings and the dialogues they had. I think they almost 3 or 4 times they met and they agreed on a few, a few changes and then modalities of how they can work. I believe that the new changes that have come about is what is resulting to what you are seeing today. That NRM literally is winning in most of these, by-elections, and then majority of the seats in parliament are subscribed to NRM, including independent.
Could it be because this is outside Bogan, the central region?
Oh,
if you had one in central region,
central
you think
region,
you'd, win it?
Politics in central region is a little, a little, I can call it tactful. It's a tactical way of you really have to sit and have a deep and intensive research on how you should handle. Handling the central region has always been a very difficult thing, and that's why you are seeing that even with the current leadership opposition, you find that even NUP, a majority of their members of parliament are within the central region. So there are people that are quite united in that they don't play politics of divide and rule. They are so united in that when they front one candidate, it is purely one candidate that they will stand with. Okay. Unlike other tribes or other regions that possibly have that divide and rule, and then they always subscribe to certain groupings.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. Lord Mayor,
yes,
we are discussing the Oyamba election. Mr. Angola, you remember how his life was unfortunately ended by his, former bodyguard, and now we are looking for a replacement. The junior, the son happens to be one of the contestants. NRM have already given him the flag. He's representing them. But we've seen in other places they have denied the children of the deceased leaders, these tickets. Isn't this unfair? And also, we can also discuss what chances NRM stands, to scope this by-election.
Yes, actually, first of all, I want to congratulate my brother Sam Junior Angola that, for the first time that he has come, and the energy that he has got from the public, from the, leader side. First of all, Serere and Oyam, these two places have got different political. They have completely different geopolitics is far different. When you look at the history of Oyam, the leaders and the political party that was booming then, it was UPC. And then when you look at Serere, the political party that used to have more strength was FDC. That is from the eastern. And looking at our leader now, for the fact that NRM married UPC in one way or the other, right now NRM has got strength and is growing its strength day in, day out. So and really NRM, what as a party, what they promised, it's what they've tried to deliver when it comes to that region as leader. So there are high chances that Oyam, NRM may scope it, may take the win, and for the fact that there is this sympathetic vote. When you look at the way the late, those that used to be in those positions, the way it's not that they retired, but it's not that they got a natural death, but rather they were already it has always been like an accidental, something like an accident happening. When you look at Serere, it was an accident that happened to the MP then. So there was chance of giving that sympathetic vote to the candidate. So I don't think whether it was really a successional, no, but it was so much attached with sympathy that is with the voters. Also, to bring this up, NRM, I think they saw their mistakes in Serere, because for the fact that they underlooked the son of the Serere candidate, okay? They perhaps maybe thought that it would not go through, you get. So it was a blunder that they could not do the same in Oyam. So it is not that it is designed, it's succession that NRM supports, but it's a win-win. You know, when you look at the strategies, there is no party that could support a candidate that they know will fail, you know. So I think NRM strategized well when it comes to Oyam, and there are high chances that NRM is
So they
co-nominated.
miscalculated in Serere?
Yes, they did. They did, and it was quite a very big blunder. It was a very big miscalculation. They underlooked at the man, and eventually they got ashamed in one or the other.
Or they want to change the narrative. This what we're discussing now, politics of succession, that now this one has died, let us look for someone in his or her family. Like we saw it happen with Nevanda, remember? And now I think they wanted to change the trend.
You see, changing a trend, or rather having systems altered abruptly is something that is quite difficult. You know, these are things that you have to study and then sometimes even benchmark before you can, you know, take up action. So for me, saying that you wanted to change the narrative, it was a very wrong, you know, turn, because the people themselves requested for the son. He was not visibly, possibly, let me say that in the time when the father was into leadership, he possibly was not so, you know, regular, but occasionally would come and then, you know, meet the people and then, you know, show face. So to the people, of course, they understand that as a leader, even look at our president. As the head of state of Uganda, there is always, within the bloodline, there is always one person that will carry the trends and then, you know, your line of, you know, of what you're doing. In every family, there is always that. That as a father, there is always one or two who are following keenly what you're doing. And if you're to look at the late Sam Mengola, even when you're to listen to what the son was saying, that there would always be that time where they sit and agree, or rather disagree to agree, or rather have that political atmosphere where they exchange things to understand one another. That is mentorship. That is leadership. So also with the late Bishop Okabe, of course, I want to believe that if there was one or two coordinating his political affairs outside the borders of Uganda, of course, you understand right now he's just a young man that has come into parliament. But when you're to listen and interact with him openly, you find he has true traits of a leader, nurtured, well nurtured and mentored. I also want to believe that the late was a pastor. So they have those traits. So it is, like you have said, that it is not easy to change the narrative at a go. You even seeing that people are pushing for the son of the president to succeed from him.
That's why I was you know, going to take you next, Mr. Tim. There are those who say,
yes,
about these Ugandans who subscribe that school of thought, that maybe the old man with the heart, you understand the person I'm talking about,
yes,
is looking for a justification. If it was done in Serere, it was done somewhere, it was done somewhere else. I'm not the first one to do it, so why not happen here?
But it would be
let my son, you know, succeed.
No, it would be a big kill for him, because you see, if you want to cut the narrative, then tomorrow everybody is going to base on the narrative. That you see, you cut it off, which means that you are not in support of secession, and then we cannot front or we cannot go ahead with your son. That is you know, a total miscalculation and misinformation.
Yes, but I also think that...
And then before he comes in, when you have to look at leadership of secession or leadership of, you know, bloodline, you're going to look at the United States. We've always had people being replaced, the father, the grandfather, to the father, to the son.
Even the spouses.
Yes. Then we're going to look at Asia. I think that's the Philippines or one of the countries where the son came and then he scored over 90% of the vote. Because the people loved what the father was doing, and they said, if the father can do it, which means that among the family line, the son who was, you know, close to him can do exactly what he was doing. Okay. Look at our neighbor Kenya. We had Jomo Kenyatta. The Uhuru Kenyatta comes in, but of course the narrative has been, you know.
By the time they're in between.
But then also
the time in between, because it's really a long time.
That is true. But then also, you look at the current leadership, I want to believe that he is possibly mentoring someone that after him, there should be someone from his what? From his line.
Wait,
but
here.
when you are also to follow the current president of Kenya, you will find that the father was also a formidable man in the community and the society. So possibly he's following the bloodline. When you have to look at DRC Congo, Kabila, together with the son. So it is not something that is easy to, to remove. Rather, we're following things that have been to the past and then just a normal flow into the present.
And to my side, my submission is quite different from my brother's. Yes. That when you look at the word succession, you will look at the atmosphere as well.
Yes.
Because remember, it's quite far different when you look at our MPs that are now succeeding their parents currently from our president, perhaps that the public has it, that the president is nurturing his son, you know. I think there is, in most cases, it's the public that's per second a person to lead them, you know. When you look at, for example, the scenarios that you've been giving, the examples that you've giving, the one of Kabila, it was after the assassination of the father. And remember, the son was already put in the army and was the commander.
Yes.
So it was quite easy for him to come and lead, you know. When you look at the MPs here, I doubt whether even the fathers, the late, had it in mind that their sons would come and succeed them. Here, it's the public that is putting them in those positions, not their fathers. You know, when you look at the late...
What do you mean by the public, Mr. Kasiri? Because here you talk to a few people and then that's what you call the public?
No, this is what I mean. Like, for instance, Bishop, the one of Serere, yes. Okay? During his term of leadership, he even never mentioned of his son, you know?
Not
even at one point.
Yes.
You get it? It was after his death that now the public chose his son to come and succeed him. It was not it, and he himself was also actually willing to take over. You get? It is unlike a position where the president, like now, comes up. I believe even the president hasn't come out openly and said that Muhwezi is coming for presidency. Okay, but the room, the
atmosphere,
whatever that is shown, you know,
the political situation.
Yes, and to be straight to you,
and those who are privy to some secretive information, what they have shared. Yes. Points to that. Remember what the former coordinator of ISO and ESO said, that right up in 2013. Remember, Mr. Sejusa.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was the first, to say this. There is a plan that, is aimed at bring the son of the president succeeding.
But just like the way my brother said, it is not easy to bring out a son to succeed. Succession, it is deadly. It is deadly to a country. It is deadly. It is a deadly structure to bring up a leader. You know, you have to have well planned and strategized on how to bring that person. Like here in Uganda, it is not so easy to bring MK, to presidency. It needs absolutely a very well strategized plan.
Why not?
On how to bring him.
Why is it not easy?
Because these are the things that I can tell you.
I've had some voices of transition. From after, when you're done, I'll go back to him. These voices of transition that are here, and everyone I bring here touches on that, says we are in a transition.
Yes,
whether it's like or not.
A transition may come, yes, it's true, but it's not auto that it may be to MK. It is not an auto thing. And whenever you speak in these democratic states, when you mention about succession, there is the way the public takes it. And remember, every president, like let me give an example, President Museveni as is running his term, he has internal enemies and external enemies. So we look at questions, how will the son, handle these people, you get? So it is not something easy that will just come out like succession and no, it is not. It is something that has to be well strategized, So I think it's different when it comes to our MPs, the late, you get. It is far different. This is, with the late, it is the people that are pushing, like for the Naibanda, they were the people, that said no. Like the MP of Busoga, Iganga, remember that Hajat that died. It was still an accident and there was by-elections and the daughter came in for her. So it is now we've seen the people pushing, not the president and not government.
Mr. Tim,
Yes.
about a transition. Are we in a transition really?
I can't say that. I can't. I don't want to speculate. But currently, when you to look at our politics and the atmosphere, you get to understand that there is some little bit in that direction or that path. Rather, the president might be looking at surprising us in a moment in the near future.
What kind of surprise?
No, I cannot I cannot expound on that because the president is a little tactical in how he handles these things. You can't you can't 100% understand.
I had your
how
friend
that-
last weekend here, Mr. Muguzi, and he said that President 7 plans 10 years ahead.
Yes, he plans 5, 10, 20 years ahead. So when for you are planning of tomorrow, is rather projecting on 10 years. How is it going to be? Who is he going to put in this position? Who is he going to put in this position to attain that agenda and so on? That's how we plan. Of course, for us we are limited because if you don't have the mindset to rather analyze or rather be able to project what comes ahead of you in short and then long term achievements, you fall out. Possibly that's why the fraternity, the opposition is failing to master or rather to grasp him because he at times beats them to the game. It's like playing chess. You always calculate your moves and you know that when I do this and this, I am knocking that and knocking this.
Okay.
So that is how it is.
And on addition on that, I strongly have a feeling that if transition is to come, President Museveni, like the way most Ugandans actually want it or think, that the old man is going to die on in his seat. I highly believe that it's not the kind of leader that's not what he would want. When you look at when you project and look at the President Museveni, the love he gives to his wife, the time he gives to his family, these photos, like the photos that normally takes with his family, those photos are not accidental. They're not accidental. The words that normally he mentions that I want to go to my cows, I want to be with my farm. Those are all
coded messages.
Yes, there are codes that show us where he wants to be. He is a president who I strongly believe that.
In other words, you say that he's a president, who's someone who's planning, life after retirement.
Yes, I think he does it well.
Coded messages.
And things.
Someone watching might think you're a little gullible when you.
No, I'm projecting where the country is.
If you believe such things from President Museveni.
Yes.
That is a man thinking about, leaving presidency. Someone might think,
you see my brother.
Not, listen to him for why? For long.
Mr. Mwonge,
Yes.
President Museveni has a big chance. Ask me how, in line of leadership, most especially Africa. President Museveni has been here seeing other countries like revolution taking over leaders. Remember, something like 5-4 leaders were almost stripped out of Africa. And these leaders had taken so long, and they were friends, He was there. And for him here in Uganda, he managed to handle the situation. You get? President Museveni has seen a leader who has stuck on leadership for so long and has died in power. Like in Zimbabwe, Mugabe, he saw what happened there. And he saw Gaddafi, what happened to Gaddafi. So right now, I think he has way better plans. Yes, he has got lessons, and there's a way he wants his transitions, his escape to be. He wants this to be smooth, with a peaceful way. The systems of bringing up new generals, it's not by mistake. These are things that show us where Uganda is going to be tomorrow. Only that right now the president is so much loaded with works, like foreign works. When you look at, for instance, trying to bring peace in Africa, in the region, integration, All that is on one man's head. That is President Museveni. But when you look at the transition, and the plan, yes, it's seen, but how is it going to do it? That is the plan. That is the thing. How am I going to leave power and I'm not going to be affected? How will I leave power and me and my wife and my children and my family, we shall dearly be happy, plus Ugandans? I think that is what really is happening now. But it's in pipeline. That is my projection.
And I was reading Mr. William Pike, founder, member of Capital FM, and also, I think the first journalist who shared, who interviewed President Museveni when he was still in the jungles of Luwero fighting, before he became president. And you would think that this is a man who knows him well, because even when they came out of the bush, when they took over power, he made him even the founding CEO of the Vision Group. Now that's why he mentioned in his write-up, in his book, and said that, look, when he asked President Museveni if he ever thinks about leaving presidency, he said, look, I am addicted to being president. And from what we've seen happening, all the promises President Museveni has made, he has not fulfilled any. Even promises where he showed that he would at one time leave the presidency. Look, when they had just come in 1986, what did he say? We are soldiers. Let's just organize the country after we hand over leadership today to the citizens, the Wananchi. Then after the constitution was finished in 1995, he was like, okay, let me test this constitution. Came in 2001, said, look, the constitution gives me one more term. Let me rule, and after, I'll go. 2005, remember what happened in Parliament? The 5 million token to each member of Parliament to lift the term limit, article. And now you saw what happened recently in 2017 when they were lifting the age limit bill. So, gentlemen, I don't know, but I don't see that happening. Like what you're saying, Mr. Kasiri, President Museveni, thinking about retiring as president. Unless, how about Mr. Tim? You see this happening?
Just like my brother has spoken, we have been trying to divulge on the matter. But then to go a bit, to go a little deeper, we need to look at the president. He has reached a situation where he feels like, Uganda should continue. We don't want a scenario where we have the country going back into the hands of, shackles, people that have interests and want to bring it down. So I believe that when you see him interact and then having the ideology of the son, coming on after him and so on, President, I want to say President Museveni is one person that is extremely difficult to read, but he has the capacity to read you and then understand what you're thinking about him. If he has told you that the projection is possibly 5 or 10 years, the president can even surprise you that in 5 years he's stepping down and someone he has entrusted is taking over. The president has his people. He always knows how to use them. At one point, he fell off with the current, the one the security envoy. That is the
Amama Mbabazi?
Yeah, Amama Mbabazi. And where is Amama Mbabazi at the moment? He has a very big task in handling security for Africa. He has fallen with quite a number of people, but you have always seen that they come back into government.
He's tolerant, that's what you're trying to say.
He's a tolerant kind of leader. But also, he's a person that studies you. First is that he will put you down, or rather will put you on Katebe. There's always football. He first substitute you and put you on the bench. For him to study you and get to understand you extremely well. Then he will bring you and put you in a task he knows you have the capacity to handle maximally. That is how he operates.
Okay.
But then I want to believe that looking at possibly the retirement and transition and then succession, let's read the political atmosphere. What is happening right now? He's met the president, I think, previously met the MK executive.
Yes.
And what do you think was the talk? Because they denied cameras and then possibly there was no recording, no taking of notes. But what did he share with them? He wanted to know possibly what they have come up with, what strategies are using, who is involved in so and so. So I don't think that looking at him doing those things we as Ugandans, or possibly the people that are handling politics in our capacity of analysis, should not be able to detect the atmosphere, or rather what is coming about. Me, I want to believe that it's only a matter of time, and then possibly Uganda is going to either get a shock that he has not expected, or rather Uganda will steadily move the way it has been moving.
Okay.
I think you've had statements where the president said, you see, the corrupt, so is on them, but wait for Muhoozi. Have you heard of that statement?
Yes, I've heard about
He's not, he doesn't joke with people. I think you've heard that.
Yeah, and when you speak like that,
Yes.
you're actually contradicting yourself.
Yes.
Because previously you said that President Museveni is not planning to bring his son.
No, what I'm saying,
So someone, actually, when he made that statement,
Yes.
we all wondered in what capacity, was he speak about Muhoozi, that he cannot tolerate the corrupt.
you see, the way President Museveni wants to, I'm trying to read his mind, that the way he wants to play this game, he wants to play it in a polite way where the public will accept the son willingly, not forcefully.
Okay.
You get it?
Gentlemen,
So-
let us get now to security. Now that you're talking about the president who happens to be the head of security in this country. Last week, rebels, or bad people who I believe to be the ADF rebels, although up to now we are still wondering because they have not come out to claim. But what the UPDF leadership is saying is that it was actually the ADF who attacked a school in Impondwe, that is Ruberira, and then they killed over 43, where some were burnt in dormitory, which they set ablaze. Others were hacked to death, especially the girls. And now, the preliminary reports we got were that the ADF, came and they spent 2 days in the area. People saw them, they even reported to those in charge, but these ones were very, very, hesitant and lazy. They didn't, they didn't come out, even when they were given reports. So there's some people who don't understand this area. But Dewa Kikia says that no, this pact you spent a very short time. We are talking about the ADF, one of the, longest or oldest rebel groups that the NRM/NRA have fought, but they are still persisting. Even when their founder, Jamil Muku, was arrested and still in custody, in jail here. President Museveni has always told us how they finished the ADF, especially after they deployed to Congo. That joint operation they have with our neighbors, the DRC. Now, with this attack, wasn't this, something to show maybe this was a lie? The ADF is still here, and it can still cause mayhem in this country? Mr. Tim, are we, as NRM, are we losing out on something we've always bragged about, and that is securing Ugandans? They are secure. Are we not losing out on that now that we are seeing these incidents?
Thank you very much. You see, issues of security have always been of concern, because that is one issue that was entirely the president advocated for when he took over power. And of course, the ADF issue, or rather the ADF raid in schools, I totally condemn what happened, of course, and then the laxity of security within the borderline. It has never happened before, because when you look at how Uganda handles security, mostly looking at the criteria, you understand that rather Uganda should be one of the most secure countries in East Africa.
What has never happened before?
When you look at how we have handled security, that first of all we have the resident district commissioner, or rather RDC, who is the chair, or rather supposed
Because
to be
if
the
you
chair
talk about
of security
if you talk
council.
about this situation, we had a similar situation way back in 1998 when the same rebels
Yes.
attacked a certain school, technical school, vocational school, that is in Wondiwujo, called Chichwamba, and they killed so many students there. So it has ever happened before.
Even when you look at LRA, it has always happened,
Yes,
Boroboro College, I
so-
think, and so on. But then let's look at the current situation. Kasese has always been harboring this, starting from the times, I think, of the Rwenzururu, I think the kingdom, the invasion of of the kingdom. And you saw lots of people being killed. Rather, you even saw witness
By the
scenario.
government?
Yes,
By the UPDF?
by the UPDF. So rather, you even witnessed that there were lots of friction. Even what led to the death of people, possibly during that time, was that action. You find that you are attacking a security person, and then he's only forced with defending himself. That's putting you out of action. Because I can't watch you come to me with a panga and you have already,
There you just find that out.
destabilized. No, you have already destabilized.
justify
I'm
that
only
up.
following what the head of state, mentioned. You have destabilized the other, my colleagues that are rather trying to prevent the situation from escalating. And then what do? I'm only left with an option of putting you out. That's self-defense. So, but in this scenario, I call it a weakling within the security system, because if you already had been informed or alerted that you have some signs of foreign faces within the areas, that is, I'm very happy with my home districts. That's Kumi. You're looking at Ngora. You're looking.
We have
at
the Arrow Boys.
You have the Arrow Boys,
Are they still there?
but then also they are very sensitive in a way that if they saw a foreign face the first day and the second day, they are already alert and they are very concerned about what is likely happening. And I'm betting on you that they will trail you and get to know your facts. But then in this scenario, of course, foreign persons coming into a particular area that they are not, much aware about, and then you, the residents within that community, or rather identifying these people. Of course, you have alerted security, but then security takes its time to try and assess the matter. That one I call it a weakling within the security force, and I think the president has already sent a task force to handle those weaklings. There should be a total, system overall. We cannot have a PISO, we cannot have a GISO, we cannot have a whole DISO, that is District Internal Security Officer. We cannot have an RDC, who is the chairperson of the security committee of the districts. We cannot have the DPC together with all those CIDs and so on in a particular district, and then such a scenario or a raid occurs. That is total weakening within the security. Of course, you cannot blame the whole security of the government. I'm only blaming individuals that rather have the capacity to have neutralized that within that specific time. And then also, the duration the attack took in the school. The police station is just a few kilometers away from the school. We have one of the battalion, bases a few kilometers from the school. We have these security apparatuses having access to the school within the time. How did they fail to coordinate, and what was the issue that led to this, kind of loophole? I call it a loophole.
There's lapse in
for UPDF to come and try and neutralize them at the moment. Of course, it is also now creating an awareness that as security, we need to be extremely aware about our border points. I met with my colleague, one of my colleagues that is handling security within one of the border points in Uganda. And I was telling him that, you see, your task right now is quite big, and you have to be extremely alert. These border points, when you put focus mainly within the area of jurisdiction or wherever that has been demarcated, you leave out the porous borders. Now, the porous borders can be used as access for these cells of ADF. And I want to tell you that possibly in Uganda we have these dormant cells that are not operational, but they are there. It's just a matter of reactivation. And having that issue of Kasese and the raid in Kasese can easily motivate these other people that are possibly quiet into also having a similar activity in any of the parts of the district. So we have to be extremely, careful with how Uganda, we as security, or rather as government, should handle this matter. This is not a small matter. It can, rather start, it can even start a civil war. Yes. You have already seen scenarios. See what happened with the LRA. LRA comes, it is a group that has been in existence possibly for a number of years, possibly 20 or so years. But then what happened? The only method they used was to raid schools. They abducted a lot of girls from, I think, Boroboro College. They even came up to Teso College. By then, I think some of us were in the lower, were in the lower classes. But then we had these people access up to the flying school. So some of us had to leave school and go back to our homes and hide there until when UPDF joined hands together with the Arrow boys, and then they drove these people back to that side. But when they were going back to the side, they had abducted a lot of school, students. And then, of course, a student that barely doesn't understand anything to do with military, training, and then these people know how to indoctrinate.
Exactly.
Now, ADF being an Islamic, kind of military, I call it a militia, and then having access to ISIS, possibly, and Al-Shabaab. These are people that know how to indoctrinate these young children. How many do you think that they have taken? Possibly they have not given us the proper statistics or numbers of the people that were abducted. Now, we need to get to know the number of possible students that were taken, and also people within the community. You have killed these other ones, possibly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ADFs, those ones that delayed possibly to report back to base. But the number of people that have been abducted are going to be indoctrinated.
Okay.
Look at the scenario of the bombings that happened almost near Parliament. A young boy puts on a bag and then walks straight, boards the border and explodes himself. Now, look at the type of mindset. That's what these kinds of raids can do. So we have to protect these schools.
Okay.
And the security has to beef up, itself, and then, otherwise this laxity, should not be called for.
Okay.
Totally condemned.
Let's take a break. When I come back, we shall start with you, Mr. Kasirye. Thank you so much for following us, watching us. I'll be right back after this break. Don't go.
That one, we shall not defend government.
Are you looking for a one-stop center to host your conference or meeting, wedding parties, workshops or seminars? Thobani Conference Center has the perfect modern space for your event. We have spacious outdoor and indoor space to accommodate over 1,000 and below 150 people, offering free lighting, LED screens, free sound system, free chairs, free Wi-Fi, and secure basement parking space. Drop by at Cafe at 2 and we will be at your service with our finest coffee, espresso, cappuccino, and cafe latte. Enjoy incredibly delicious meals, grab a milkshake or a cocktail juice. Only at Cafe at 2. And that's not all. We have the latest video games for the game lovers. We are located in the city center at the Thobani Center Building Level 2 along Ginger Road opposite DFCU Bank. For more information and bookings, call 0772 307875 or 0750 647486. Thobani Conference Center, the place to be.
You give boss, come here, Mutan. Abana Beka Yazeda. mugenda kutusa amasanyu bannange abaana beeka kakati naffe tubeere babbosi baffe tusooke twefunye zino ezaffe ogyevugire ng'akasente kadda mu nsawo yugi boss 125 abaana beeka ababooda nze suuna beeri nagibasoose dda kati ate ngibazigidde yino tugivuge Simba Automotive yaleese maanyi meereere
Hi, it's 2023 and guess what? Joyce Sonko Textiles offer of 10 million shillings is still running. A bride gets 3 gamassis and 1 extra gamassi for a photo shoot or kuchala. And Betron gets 3 gamassis. The bridesmaids get 3 sets of gamassis. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that wonderful? And they also have another package. That is the platinum package, where you get to choose any gamassi as the first time wearer. Then you add on 3 more gamassis. That is the bride we're talking about. The matron gets 3 gamassis, 3 sets of bridesmaids gamassis, 1 set of kanzus for the little boys or the little men, and 1 set of gamassis for the little women. How amazing. You can only get that offer at Joyce Sonko Textiles at 4 million Ugandan shillings. And if you plan earlier and book slowly by slowly, things will be much easier and amazing. How beautiful. Hey, don't say I didn't tell you. I've informed you earlier. So run to Jurumbo Street, that is on Zai Plaza, and book yourself this offer of the platinum package and the other ordinary package. For those of you who come from Busoga, Bujiri, Kamuli, Buwenge, Iganga, Mbale, Joyce Sonko Textiles has opened a new branch along Kachi Road next to Ginger Central Market on the taxi park. If you want to get these services and more, just go there, book yourself that beautiful package, the platinum package at only 4 million and the ordinary package at 2 million.
Joyce Sonko Textiles, quality you won't regret. Coming soon on BTM.
Do you love traveling and exploring different cultures? Do you want to experience the beauty of nature and learn about different societies? We've got the ultimate show for you. Tourism in Uganda, a brand new show that highlights the rich cultural heritage, majestic wildlife, and scenic landscapes Uganda has to offer. It's a show that takes you on an adventure and leaves you breathless every step of the way. Uganda is home to some of the most magnificent wild animals in their natural habitat, from lions to elephants. This show helps you get close to them. This show will take you to the heart of Uganda's communities to experience the Ugandan way of life, from bustling marketplaces to traditional dance ceremonies and food tasting. There is always something unique in the corner. Tourism in Uganda. Explore the part of Africa with us.
Sit back and relax with BTM. We transform.
Now, according to Uganda Police Threat spokesperson Mr. Enanga, he says that they have got some people and put them in custody as regards the rebel attack on a school in Kasese. These people in custody include the DEO of Kasese, that's the District Education Officer. That is the George Mayinja is in police custody. Principal Inspector of Schools, Ernest Tharbuga, is also in police custody. The Inspector of Schools in charge of Bukonzo, Harriet Masika, is also in custody. including the head teacher and the director of the same school. These ones have been, arrested up with the investigations. Now, Minister Kabiang also made a statement that I picked interest in. He says that the school, which has existed for more than 10 years, they were surprised to learn that it had only 64 students. And out of these 64 students, it is only one student from Bukonzo, Sub-region. The rest are from somewhere else. All these are raising so many questions around the school. And this is what prompted the police to actually arrest these people. Maybe there was some sort of connivance. What kind of connivance could it have been? Mr. Kasiri Sendagiri.
Yes.
About this incident and know what police is doing, making some arrests, including these officials I've told you in the Ministry of Education. Was this really necessary?
Yes, it may have been necessary when it's in line of security, because security, they know better on how they get information. But me as a person, I would look at security as a whole in the country. Yes, it is absurd that we lost our children, but as a country, we need to more oversee in even other areas, because we may concentrate in Kasese, yet elsewhere it's getting rotten. So I think security as a whole, we are missing at a point. And security starts with intelligence, the intelligence systems. And that's where I want to concentrate. Because, normally security is seen internally, okay? Externally, looking at the borders, that is how we look at whether we are at peace in line with security or not. You get? When you look at the intelligence, because my questions will go to the intelligence officers in the district, the ISOs, the RDCs. Because gone are the days when intelligence used to be on ground. They used to demise, they put a madman, it was almost everywhere. But now something is missing. When you look at information before a crime happens, there is something really missing in that category, in that angle, Look at right now, currently now. So where we stay, okay? There are normally questions that come up, like when someone comes to your area and you don't know that person, you have to question. But even the time police reaches an area where crime is, it's still a problem. We still have police officers who openly say we didn't have facilitation. You get what I'm saying? We still have security officers that openly say we didn't have this and this and that. They still have it in mind that since I'm not yet paid, why should I rush to a criminal, to a place where crime has happened? You get? These are all problems that government has to also see, not just looking at the incident that happened. You get? There are many questions that were unanswered. When you look at the intelligence, when you look at the school system as well, Ministry of Education. If we all know that normally schools are attacked, then why not for the ministry to enforce the policy of these schools to have CCTV cameras? Because these are all security ties. You get what I'm saying? And there must be a person in ministry, an officer in almost every district, to go on in these, schools and inspect whether they have CCTV cameras, so on and so forth. Because how many really Ugandan children?
Let's be realistic.
Yes.
We talk about a school in a rural area.
Yes.
You didn't expect them to be having this facility.
Now, let me give you a hint. You're still on the microphone. You see, we had some investors from Britain that had come and wanted to bring up a policy where they can set alarm systems and then smoke detectors, that's fire detectors, in all these schools, regardless of whether they are village schools, rural settings, and so on. And the idea was that these systems, in case of any emergencies or any attacks or whatever, just trigger an alarm system that has the capacity to sound 5 kilometers
exactly
a radius. And then you are alerting the community together with the security system that there's a problem likely in that facility. Now, the machines that were supposed to be brought had a warrant of 5 years before batteries, or rather, they can be serviced. The team was even ready to be in position to train Ugandans within our system, so that we can learn how to operate these machines. That in every school there should be someone that should be able to operate these machines. That is the system that's being used in Britain. You cannot operate or open a school without those systems. Those systems alert and trigger.
And those systems have been in those schools for very many years.
Yes.
They've not just, we don't want to talk about Britain now.
Yes.
The alarm systems in schools, the alarm systems in churches, in public places that connects many people. You get? These systems have been there. Just to bring this also on board, during COVID, President Museveni mentioned about drones. Let me say even, he mentioned them accidentally. And he mentioned about drones, that these drones will be inspecting around lake regions and borders on the lake. I don't know whether you remember that. And we are planning to have them. And they are planning to procure them on hundreds and thousands of billions, you know, in Uganda. These drones can help even in areas like Kasese, you know, in security. We can have drones with night vision, and they can inspect in slum areas, you know, where a man cannot reach very fast. We can use technology, okay? But we've failed to have even the mere CCTV cameras that we have on roads. Their maintenance is a problem. Personally, I'm in line with that, is CCTV cameras. At initial stage when we were bringing CCTV cameras in Uganda, personally, I contributed, at least as a private company, we tried to at least force government to even reduce on taxes, okay, when it comes to CCTV cameras. We know how these systems work. We know the seasons where they get problems, like when it comes to rainy season. We know and we can explain. But I want to assure you, my friend and the viewers, when the contract was given to Chinese, it was only in line with installation, not maintenance. You get? Right now we are having many CCTV cameras that are not even working. Why? Because there is no money for maintenance, which is the problem. That is also part of security. When it comes to Kasese and whatever that is happening, we, as a country, we normally rush when a crime, when an incident has happened. But we need to rethink and project, you know, on how to condense, on how we can work on the near future, you know, things that may happen in future. I really ask myself questions. What are these RCCs? What are they doing? What are the RDCs doing? Because right now, you reach in the office of RDC, and he has packs of files of land issues, you know. Many files in line with lands, because normally that's where they get also something in within those files. You get? Not looking at an RDC on how he plans to condense incidents that may happen in the future. Yes. You get what I'm saying? This may not have happened. The continuous training of officers, this may not have happened if the RDC was really on point, if the ISOs were on point, if these security systems were on point, and if it happened in Kasese, by now we would have got, at least government would have showed us that even RDCs elsewhere are doing something, and they are projecting on how they can curb such incidents that may have happened in future. And that's where the problem comes in now. Whenever an incident comes, like even recently, we saw a school, it was burnt, the school of the blind. Still, we brought in statements, we brought in, you know, okwekwasa, but not looking at an incident and how can we sort it out not to happen in future. I think that's a very big problem as a country.
I'm looking so much at this connivance, thing, where people think that, you see, I've read so many books, or some books that have been written by NRA historicals, including that of President Museveni. I've read his So in the Mustard book countless times. And in there, they review so many things that they did. The plans they had, the contacts they had. You might even think if they didn't have these contacts, they wouldn't have even, managed to win the war. So I also want to think that the EF, they're doing the same. Their LRA are doing the same. They have contacts, they have agents amongst us here that you might not know. You see someone here as a politician, a member of parliament, someone is, a big businessman or a prominent businessman when he's actually working with the rebels. So how can the government now, wipe out these agents? Because what they are doing, police moving to arrest these people, maybe they've got information that they had links with the rebels. But isn't this really getting more scary and dangerous if such a notorious rebel group has now agents? Meaning that after Ruhurira, that's the name of the school, maybe we could have another school attacked. Since they have agents.
You see, when you're to assess what is happening, particularly in issues of security, some of us that have a little knowledge about security is that you always operate through such diverse systems and proxies. If you're to read the ways of deception, that is Mossad, that's by that man who was a former Mossad, agent, the Israelis. It teaches you diverse mechanisms, or rather or how to operate systems using deceptive mechanisms. You rather have platforms that operate on the physical, and that is a way that you are trying to divert the eyes from those that are operating in a clandestine or underground system. Now, the ones that operate underground are the deadliest people. Now, for instance, if you're to look at the police has already apprehended a handful of people who are within the education system of Kasese district.
Including the HM and the director.
Yes, there's a likely possibility that they were aware of the situation. Because you can't be a father.
Just a second, Mr. Tim. You
Yes.
remember the First Lady Hassoff, who also happens to be the Minister of Education?
Yes.
Remember her statement? That the school itself had there are some disputes over the school ownership. So when police talks of connivance, and this could have been a job that was not done by only the rebels, I think this speaks volumes.
But of course, you see, having the rebels come all the way from Congo and stage for 2 days within the community and then attack a school. It speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. And there's a lot that possibly needs to be unearthed. There's a lot that needs to be encrypted. I mean, there's a lot that needs to be, exposed. Because such kind of foul play within possibly the school management and then also the education system, it shows you that what you're speaking about is true. Possibly they are borrowing a leaf from some of this information that has already been dispatched to people. When you have access to information, rather security information and then any kind of information, it is enough to water down any system or entity or anything that you put your focus in. So we really have to look at this matter in a rather much sensitive way, that the people that have already been apprehended should be interrogated. An intense interrogation to know who among them possibly is in touch with these people. Let them also be in position to expose all the other, I don't know whether they call them dormant cells or rather or operational cells that are operating clandestine, and they are attached to the ISIS possibly, and then the ADF, team that's in Congo, and then whoever is operating bases. I want to tell you that you will find that even people within the system, our own governance, could be much involved in this.
Just like the NRA had them.
Yes, so it is one thing that you have to keenly look at with interest, that if you find, or rather top people within the system, of course you don't want to lock heads, rather lock heads. Some of this can be used either to start or cause a shockwave pass a message.
Okay.
Yes, because we have seen scenarios where schools have been attacked and messages have been passed.
Exactly.
This can be used to pass a message. So as government, we have to critically be, alert and cautious of every step we make. Every move we take should be with caution.
Mr. Kasiri, a certain news outlet, Media House, recently released a story saying that some parents, especially in that region we talk about, decided to pull their children out of school. In fact, even some people in the community, they started living, vacating the area. Are we really safe when you see such things happen? And also, among the achievements of the NRA/NRM, something they have capitalized on for a long time, even when they're, are moving around looking for votes, they always talk about security. NRM, bring about security. Is this something that they still need to talk about? Is it even, seen? How we secure? Just recently, our idea will talk about gun violence, where it would not take a day or two before we hear that someone has misused a gun, or on himself or on another person. And now we talk about the rebel attacks. They have resumed, just like it was in northern Uganda, eastern Uganda, western Uganda. Now it has resurfaced. Are we safe?
First of all, I want to assure Ugandans that we are safe as a country. And it is true that when it comes to our security as a country, really, by now, even here, we would not be here. Even this TV station would not be operating. But because there is bit security, we have security, we are at peace as a country. As I'm talking now, people are on the move. They're crossing out deals, with even foreign people, foreigners. But and I want to appreciate this.
Yes.
I want to appreciate the NRM government with its peace, because there are many nations in Africa, worldwide, that in these 37 years have passed through a lot. And I want to tell you this as a Ugandan, that behind the curtains, there is a lot that security has been fighting with. Ask yourself questions, where is Kony now? By now he would have been somewhere, closer to Soroti or somewhere close. But because our borders are tight, we have to appreciate to the UPDF. But we don't have to just appreciate and leave this mistake that happened recent. It should not happen again. If, as UPDF said, that we relaxed a bit, how many times is police going to say, and security apparatuses, how many times are they going to keep on saying that we relaxed? You get what I'm saying? How many times are they going to continue saying that, you see, it wouldn't have happened, but we relaxed a bit, and so it happened, but it will not happen again. We've seen these incidents happening day in, day out. I want to bring this, only that you are looking at Kasese as a region. Yesterday, where I'm staying, I left my home, because, sometimes we test our societies, before coming, because we look at us as leaders, okay? So we test our societies, we test our governments. Yesterday, I left my home at around 11:30 still. I went to the shop to buy something. But I reached there, and everyone around where I stay, they were feeling unsafe. I asked them why feeling this? They were talking about thugs, they were talking about thieves, they were talking about a guard, these party thieves. They were talking about how unsafe they feel to even move in a country like Uganda, where we keep on saying that we are at peace. So where is the peace? Are we secured from the rebels? Are we secured from terrorists? How are we secured? My questions come back to the other of intelligence. Intelligence. Because what does intelligence do? Intelligence, what it does, it is an information, giver.
Basis, open source.
Yes, it gives information so that security, other officers can have this before a crime happens. During the bomb blasts, I understand those that were arrested, as part of ADF, somewhere from Nabweru. they were got from different places, and some were from Naweru. And clearly, cameras went to these doors, and they could tell you that these people came here and they've been living here. Okay? Question is, who is in charge of intelligence in that place? You get what I'm saying? When it comes to still bomb blasts, remember there was a bomb that was that blasted in a bus. Yes. I don't know whether you remember that. It was on a highway. I think you remember. Still, it comes back to intelligence. In countries like, let me say, America, in Russia, they tell you that even in schools, among students, they're intelligence officers. You get? President Museveni, it's time now, at a time when the people, the public, the international world, at a time now when they think there is soon a transition to come, more security must be seen. President Museveni, he's doing works that he didn't even start with. In 1986, he's doing works in Somalia. He's doing works in Sudan. He's doing works in different. Remember, we are increasing on our enemies as a country. However much we are doing good works, but we are increasing on enmity. So I think security apparatus must invest more in intelligence, must invest more in this technological, the new technology. Adaptations of technology that we are all moving. Yes. You see, there is a saying that, and it's true, I think, that these are phones that we make, they're recorded. Okay? But how many people do you see, like after making a call, after 2, 3, 4 minutes or hours, these people are capped? You get? So I think there is a very huge problem when it comes to information circulation and intelligence as a country. Yes. All this would have not happened, okay, if intelligence officers were doing their work. Okay, we are in communities where even LOCs don't know a visitor that you brought recent. Okay, we are in communities like, for example, in Kampala, I hear people say that it's quite hard, to come. But it is easy if you have the intelligence, if you have security knowledge. It is easy to cap societies. It's easy to know who is where. Even in this lanes of the planning of our systems of housing and all that. All these must be questioned. You get? Right now, an incident happens. I repeat, an incident happens in an area, and civilians call on police, and it takes hours for police to reach a place. That is a problem. You get? Yes. Security apparatuses have to go back and reflect themselves and have to know that they're working for the good of this country. Not salary, not I hear money, not because those are second. First is for Uganda. That is what I see. Yes.
Is that a fair statement from him?
Yeah, fair.
About someone's livelihood. And you say
yes, but
someone's survival.
When it comes,
just a second.
Yes.
You say someone's survival should be secondary. You heard the words that Mr. Ngola's killer was saying. His statements. My children are not going to school, yours are going. I am suffering. My wife is pregnant there. For us, you're suffering. For you, you're enjoying. So, and you're asking us to protect you. So, when you make such a statement that the salary should be secondary, it's like you're being.
No, I want to bring this so clearly. There are some occupations, there are some jobs that when you're given a job, okay, there is something that you have to take first. In security, first is Uganda, then second is salaries.
Patriotism.
Patriotism is first.
Okay.
Patriotism is first. But even the RDCs, how can you give someone to head security officers when he or she himself he's not patriotic enough?
Yes, and he's not militarily.
He's not militarily fit.
Intelligence-wise.
You see, as I told you, that incident that happened in Kasese. Gunshots were heard at 11:30. What? There are scopes. There's what you call scoping in security. You can send officers, okay, to go and see what is wrong in that area. But you still zone. There's called zoning. You zone surrounding that circle. Like, for example, if an incident happens in Kamocha, okay, like Kamocha Market, I can send officers, but still zone or put boundaries on an enemy to not let an enemy to escape. You get? these are things that I believe security operatives have in mind. These are things that I believe RDCs have to keep on motivational, stocks to these security officers. So I think something is not done right, really.
Okay.
I think something is not done right.
Mr. Tim, the fear he was raising, which is among the populace, indeed, it is. People are worried how best can the government, help people to feel comfortable and confident and knowing that they're going to live, for another day.
No, my brother has spoken and he has expounded on the issue of intelligence. It was rather the same that I would have touched, in depth. But then you see, for a country to be able to sustain itself security-wise, the biggest investment that you can put in is intelligence. Because it is from intelligence that you can find information that you can filter, either for the good of the country and what should be able to develop the country. You see, even you look at countries like United States, like Russia, like Britain, like Israel, they have invested a lot in their intelligence. So for them to be able to sustain security within the interiors of their border, they have a high grip on intelligence, information that should benefit them. Israel, for instance, will never accept a foreigner or will never accept their nationals to speak with a foreigner, Hebrew as a language. Hebrew is only for them and is their identity, but it is also their security code. Now that is intelligence. Any foreigners that are in Israel, it is English and then Arabic that is spoken. But Hebrew is purely for the nationals of Israel. That is an intelligence factor. In that, what I'm sharing with my brother here in Hebrew, you as a foreigner, you'll not be able to know. But if I'm telling him that, let's not trust Idrissa, I'm seeing some trends of terrorism in him. Of course, I've spoken in Hebrew, or rather the local dialect. Now, when we're speaking to you in Kiswahili or English, you understand. So you don't know what I have told him, but we'll put an eye on you. So we are checking you to find, I am checking you, he's checking you, others are checking you to see if you're a correct person. That is what we lack as a country. Right now, when you look at the scenario that have happened in Kasese, not only Kasese, anywhere, any other part, you find that there has always been breach of security. We speak, we represent the government, we subscribe to the NRM government. But you see, at times, if we don't look at these crises or other loopholes, then rather you are going to tear down, you're going to tear down the government. The government will either collapse. Because that is how any, civil wars begin. That's how any, shortfalls begin in any country or in any government. That you don't have proper systems that are checking each and every character. Right now, for you to access info.
We've been here for long. The government has been here for long.
No, the government has been here for long.
Enough capacity, security-wise.
The government has been here for long.
Yes.
I can't say that as security that we have. Actually, we have done quite very well. If you look at the government of Uganda, rather the NRM government, it has played a very great role in enforcing security within the country. Just like my brother mentioned here, we would not be here speaking about NRM government. We would not be here even trying to look at how to criticize or other. There's what they call positive criticism. You rather bring out a situation because you want it to be aligned for things to move smoothly. Now, in some other systems, you mentioned one word. Now, let me like North Korea, I don't think you can mention one word on TV that is directed to government and can be sustained. That is how there can be expression, that is freedom of expression. But what about the freedom of the expression? Now, for us, let's look at how we correct the country. Intelligence is lacking. That is one fact. Intelligence is lacking. Let's stop this intelligence of border borders. Yes. I'm on a border, rather is trying to find out information about the political atmosphere. I have two ways of talking to you. I can tell you what fits for you to understand, and you take it. But I can leave out the most sensitive things, because I believe that you as a person, I don't understand you too well for me to trust you with information. Who among the citizens is government using to spread out security? When you are handling RDCs and the DSOs, how do you continuously keep orienting them? And then there should be overhaul of systems. You can't leave one particular DPC running Kasese district for 10 years or 5 years. What is that?
Exactly.
Change these systems. Bring another person from a different place, orient them, and let them go and assess the situations there. Change this. You'll find that even possibly the polling station that possibly was near the school, we have some officers that have been serving there for 30 years. I was in Arua district. We have officers that he will even tell you that the way I entered police, I entered police in 1980. I have been here and I'm going to retire from this polling station. He has never seen or tested another polling station.
Elsewhere.
I've been to Kumi district. I've been to most of these areas. Even Karamoja. There are people that they put there and they forget them, whether they exist or so. But he's serving security. Now, such a person grows frustration. No, he gets frustrated and then he can easily betray you. That he can have valid information or he can have something that is urgent and can easily be used, or that can easily pose or cut off a threat. But he will keep quiet and say, after all, they don't care about me. Let me mind my business. That is lack of what? Motivation in security. Of course, there's patriotism. But always motivate these people so that they can work. I was very happy when I saw a video clip of a traffic police officer on the road, I think over along Hoima Road also. They called her on phone and said, you have been promoted from these ones that don't have stars. They have now given you, I think, Koporo also. She was extremely happy, overjoyed. Now, such a person is someone that can be extremely very loyal
Here,
to the system.
one of the UPDF officers who gave us, who was the first to speak and said that these rebels had spent two days in the area, according to the citizens there.
Yes.
And now, here we have the Deputy Police UPD spokesperson, Dewaki, coming out to refute the same information. So these inconsistencies, they are members of the same force, but they are having different information, contrary information. What does that really
I want to say this.
Indicate?
Normally, we've seen it happening. Sorry to bring this, but most people are working in line with President's vote and President's win. Even ministers, some ministers.
Yes.
They give information, not factual, but how they are going to be taken in the eye of the president. How am I going to be seen with whatever that I'm going to deliver now? You get? So that brings out contradictions. Everyone wants to show the other the superiority, the superiority, I'm superior than you. And that cuts, the lineage of management.
Yes.
Amongst them. You get what I'm saying? So I think that's a problem. Police officers, there must be more of coordination in information. There must be more of managerial, It's not bad for a police officer in Iganga to be celebrated, like, for instance, a birthday. with a police officer of Guru to celebrate the one of Iganga, his birthday. You get? These are managerial things that motivate workers. I don't know what really happens in this police. I don't know what happens really.
I've interacted with most of them.
Yes, because now the police officers and the security officers now, they feel they're not catered for. It is not salary and being given arms. Because for government to say we are investing in security, and they're investing in tear gas and arms, and I hear we've given them more salary. That is not, it's not enough. There is this, an attachment of staff to the job that they're doing, not being seen out of command. And command can be done, yes, but still, when a person feels it's a command, it's my part of my work, but I'm also motivated, I'm looked at, I'm respected, But you find yourself that a police officer now, can lose maybe a child or a parent or relative, and, for instance, ask for an ambulance or a car from government, and is denied simply because of his position. You get? And these are the things that we are looking at.
Equity.
Equity in the system. You get the way these people are motivated within the system. Perhaps maybe it's the reason why we are not getting enough information through from the ground. That's why perhaps that's why there are problems in our intelligence as a country. That is my view.
Mr. Tim, as we
Yes.
get out of here. Yes.
No, you see, I think we have preempted on an issue of security, and possibly we should be looking at how we should be patriotic enough as security, rather government, but let the patriotism also spread to the security sector. Most of the people that have joined security forces have served in the capacities, possibly in the positions, for quite a number of years. And some of them get demotivated and then, of course, frustrated. But through the NALI, that is the Chankwanzi Leadership Institute, I think government should, I don't know, that it should be a suggestion that let government build a system or the strategy of trying to enact these people, orient them. Even if it's not regularly, but let it be occasionally, that you have the way the members of parliament to go to Chankwanzi and then have those retreats. Let's also have our own security forces. The RDCs have always gone for such orientations. And of course, that is capacity building, leadership, growth and so on. You always go, and then that is good. Now, what about the people that are down? We will not see that with the DSO. I mean, that's the ISO, fraternity. Though they have one of the best training grounds in Garuga. And it should also be an adaptation policy that have these people on a periodic kind of leadership training, orientation. Train them to be patriots, patriotism, to love their country first. You see, we always interact with people. People might say that Akono Pesa here is a very negative man. He doesn't support government. I support government. I love my country. I love Uganda. Because I've literally grown up in Uganda. I have been into the Ugandan system. So Uganda is part of me. I don't even think there is a country that I can go and stay even for 1 week and I don't have Uganda, reflecting in me that I need to go back to my country. I have done that before. I was born in one of my parents is a Kenyan. I went to Kenya for a break.
But you didn't feel it.
But I'm telling you, the moment you cross the border point, that's Malaba, and you are going into the interiors of Kenya, you're already missing Uganda. I'm like,
I know what it means
what
being
is
away
this?
from home.
It's 2 weeks, 2 weeks into the stay there, and you're already homesick. So that is the kind of level, patriotism. Train your people to love the country.
Yes.
Don't speak negative about us. You see, countries like the United States or whatever have very negative, images, but they protect them. The citizens protect them. The political wing protects them. Whatever protects them, because you don't want such information coming out to the public, and then, of course, to ruin the image of the country. Nobody would want to go to the US if they get to know that there's a lot of gun violence there. Exactly. One man can just wake up one morning and go and shoot down a whole school. But the systems that we spoke about, I will not stop talking about that. Part of intelligence is to have these instruments of security installed. He talked about the CCTV cameras. I talked about a British investor who came and he has been frustrated by some of the government officials. He wanted to bring in the security system, fire smoke systems. He wanted to bring alarm systems.
I thought that,
and even he installed
I thought that
rural
device was stopped after the president introduced that, what does Nakalema head now?
That is the it's also under anti-corruption.
Yes.
But
isn't it meant to help those investors?
Let me tell you,
in case someone frustrates
possibly those ones who want to access the president cannot be stopped anymore, because now there's been a lot of there's been an issue in anyone that wants to meet the president. There's always a small, handout or envelopes that you keep.
So all along that.
So I don't want to go deeper there, because I don't want to touch. Possibly most of them are my friends, and
okay.
I don't want the connection there.
Yes.
But then let's embrace the idea of loving the country. We have seen and assessed the attack of Kasese. That is a lesson to us.
Okay.
That as government, we should learn from the mistakes that have occurred, and then let's build these systems. Me, I'm advocating and I'm championing for government through Ministry of Education and Ministry of Security to install all these security alarm systems, smoke systems in all schools. Let's have this.
All right.
A government can allocate money, and this can be done.
Mr. Kasiri, your last submission as we get out of here.
Still, I want to add on my brother. Personally, I was heading the security business traders, Uganda Traders Security Association, and we actually tried so much asking government to work together with Uganda Police so that we can make sure that at least we try to monitor on their behalf, we try to maintain on their behalf these security apparatus like CCTV cameras and so on and so forth. And we've really tried, and we even reached an extent of giving them lists, you know, not because we want just money, but we're working on in line with the beloved of our country. Yes. I've stood hard on security, not only in our borders, but as a person who wants to come for the mayorship, I've looked hard in our areas. There's some areas where our people stay, they feel uncomfortable, they feel a guard is too much, you know, these party thieves and so on and so forth. We believe, and we are only asking government for more security personnel in our areas, and so that we can see on how we can combat this criminality.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tim Levy Akona Pesa. And thank you so much as well, Mr. Kasiri Sendagiri Muhammad. And thank you so much.
And by the way, to my brother Muhammad, you better give it a shot. You know, politics is always a go-get. Never give up. You can easily be there, and then you end up uprooting the elephant.
Yes,
that's another encouragement. So another person who believes in you.
Yes.
There is.
So you see, you're very brilliant, mother.
Thank you.
The country needs brilliant.
All right, then. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much, our dear viewers. We've come to the end of the show. Thank you for tuning in BTM TV. Our, usual programming will continue. Till we meet again next Saturday, inshallah. God bless you. It's a goodbye from us here.